We haven't filmed anything in so long.
Yep.
Okay. So, we've been here in Montevideo, Uruguay for the last 6 weeks. We got here from Nicaragua on March 17th. And we've been in self-isolation ever since in an Airbnb. What have we been doing?
Literally nothing. I've been stuck in this house for a long time, playing Words with Friends, looking at the internet on our phone, working out occasionally, and reading books, and watching the Gilmore Girls.
Yes, I watched all 7 seasons of the Gilmore Girls, which I think is 147 episodes or something like that.
Pretty aggressive.
Which was great. It took my mind off things and it's adorable, so that was really nice. So, obviously our trip, as it was planned, is not happening anymore. In January 2020, we left my parents' house in Las Vegas and headed to Mexico. After weeks of Spanish lessons in Mexico City, we went over to Oaxaca to discover all the mole and mezcal. After a few weeks of chilling and 1 day of surfing in Nicaragua, we were ready to go to Uruguay to learn the way of life in the most stable and progressive country in South America, and also eat a lot of meat. From here, we were supposed to head over to Argentina to drink all the wine, see the Andes, and track down Francis Mallmann. Peru was all about hiking Machu Picchu, then eating our weight in ceviche on the coast. In Colombia, we were headed to explore the coffee country in Salento. From there, we were jetting up to New Brunswick, Canada, to see the highest tidal change in the world at the Bay of Fundy. In Newfoundland, we were going to track down puffins, watch some icebergs, and then make the 8,000 kilometer flight all the way across Canada to the Yukon Territories, where we were going to explore the Yukon and Alaska, seeing eagles, moose, bears, and whales. End of July was to see us in McCall, Idaho at our annual friend trip to Kate's family's lake house. From there, we were popping down to Las Vegas to hit the reset button and swap out our clothes before we spent the next 6 months in Southeast Asia. The beginning of August, we had a flight to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where we were going to eat everything and then head into the forests of Borneo to look for orangutans. Indonesia was all about surfing and meditating. In Laos, we were going to learn to ride scooters in the countryside. Then off to Thailand to revisit the country that spawned the whole entire idea for the Great Escape. In Cambodia, we were going to pick Kampot peppers and eat crabs straight out of the water. Vietnam was all about sitting on little stools, eating pho, banh mi, and iced coffee. And then wrapping it all up in Japan, where we were going to eat all the sushi and ramen our leftover budget would allow. We've decided to wait it out as long as it takes in Uruguay before it feels safe to go to any other countries, but we will not be continuing on our trip how we had it planned, which is pretty sad, but at the same time, it's opened us up to looking at new opportunities. So today, which is April 29th, we are renting a car for a month. We're going to pick it up right now, and then we are going to head 2 hours up the coast to a town called Joseignacio, which is kind of like a summer hotspot here. But since we are in the Southern Hemisphere, we are 1 month into fall right now. So even outside of the pandemic, I think it would be a pretty desolate place this time of year.
Yeah. Not much more to add other than this is my mask.
All right, so we'll see you on the road.
See you on the road. Today is Crispy's 41st birthday. Drinking
Yay!
champagne on our exclusive, excluded
our
beach.
first sip of alcohol today, and it's 10:30. And we've been up.
Yeah, we've been up since like 5 a.m. I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Let me show you the beach.
One of the priorities in picking our first Airbnb outside of Montevideo was that it had a parrilla. A parrilla is an outdoor grill that they use here in South America. They have a lot of people over and they cook a ton of meat on it. You heat up the wood, some pine cones, you rake over those coals, throw on all sorts of different meats, and enjoy it with a bunch of wine. My first one went pretty well, and we had meat for days.
Goddamn one feather.
I guess it doesn't mind cold things.
Just took my ice cream. It is pecking away at it. Right out of my bowl.
Oh, it does like the cookie things? After we had filled out the requisite paperwork to send our beloved one feather back to my parents' house in Las Vegas, we drove 4 hours west to the border of Argentina and Uruguay. We spent 2 weeks in the countryside above Colonia del Sacramento. The first week we stayed at Gondwana Casa Ambu, which is a gorgeous property that has lots of horses, there's cows all around, and I was just in heaven, as you know. After that, we had heard that there was a cheese-making, bread-making Airbnb host 800 meters up the road, so we spent our next week at El Nido Tree Houses with Martin Rosberg, where he lent us all his books on bread and cheese to learn as much as we possibly could. I somehow convinced him to teach me a 3-day course on the art of making cheese the natural way in his home, which to this minute is definitely the highlight of my trip so far. I made this ricotta and the skyr, and then the rest of these are Martin's cheeses that we opened, a Stilton, a cheddar, my clabber, and 2 proofing bowls for you for your bread today.
All right.
Yay!
Beefeater.
And Beefeater, I brought Beefeater with us.
And we are back in Montevideo. It is now winter time. Things are a bit colder, a bit darker, and we finally got around to making this video.
Yeah, so just rewatching the video from when we started, the intro is in April. Now it is June 23rd?
23rd, I think.
June 23rd. Yeah. It's officially winter. We've now spent about 2 months out in the countryside and on the coast. We're back here in Montevideo. As far as how it's been down here in Uruguay during the pandemic, the country shut down pretty quickly. Basically, as soon as we got in the country on March 17th, right after that, restaurants started shutting down. They shut the borders down and people just started being responsible. Everyone stayed home. Everybody was wearing masks. It wasn't mandated, but they just did the right thing. And because of that, there has been very few cases. Now we're only at, I think, 15 active cases in the entire country. So people are kind of acting like it's been eradicated here, and it pretty much has. So we've been very fortunate to be stuck here during the pandemic.
Very fortunate.
While it was very scary, it's now kind of becoming like a pre-pandemic world. That's been a huge treat, a little bit of normalcy.
And now we're just trying to figure out what we're gonna do next.
Yeah, I think a big part of the past 3 months has been we kept thinking it was going to be over more quickly. Obviously, like everybody, it was like 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and then maybe we'll rent a car for a month, and now let's extend it for 2 months. And all throughout that, it's really hard to kind of feel like you're in control of what's going on. And I'm sure a lot of you are feeling the same way. So now we're at a point where we've kind of seen everything we need to see in Uruguay. But like I said at the beginning of the video, we committed to staying here until we felt it was safe to go to another country. And we still don't feel like that's the case. It still feels like the safest country we could be in. We really want to get somewhere else. Our options are, we really do. But our options are pretty limited. We don't feel like going back to the US at this point is a great idea. Canada isn't open, but we just don't really know. So
what we're gonna do is we're gonna rent a car again.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go back east out towards the ocean and spend at least a couple weeks out there just relaxing again.
And we did hear some rumors that in July, possibly some things might be opening up as far as countries we could possibly go to. Cross all the fingers. So we are hoping that in the next month, we'll have a better idea of what our next step will be, because we know we can't stay here forever, even though we love it. And now that things are opening back up again, we can focus on not just my home cooked food that I've been doing endlessly, but we can start showing you some of the food that they make here in Uruguay professionally. So stay tuned for a food video coming soon.
We'll see you on the road.